Jump on the Bud Light hotline and welcome in Scott Moore from iTalkSEC Radio and the Jay Barker Show for his weekly visit. And Scott, what's different about this morning is that we go into this coming weekend with college football back on the menu. This was the last weekend that we have to experience no college football until next year. And so I'm really pumped up for this Florida and Miami game, the week 0 game. It's going to be nice for me. Of course, beginning with Alabama Duke, I'll be covering all the Alabama games. But this weekend, I can sit back and be a fan. And I'm telling you what, I don't know if you're as pumped up as I am, but I think this is a big game for both these teams, for these two conferences. It's in Orlando. I think Florida will have the edge in fans over Miami, but this is a big game coming up Saturday night, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to believe it's August 24th. The 150th anniversary. There's a lot of things that go with this game, and both of these programs are trying to reestablish themselves as powers. And when you beat Miami or you beat Florida to start the year, traditionally when this has happened, both these teams have gone on to do big things. So we'll see what happens. I think Florida's got the edge with Dan Mullen, and also Dan Mullen having been kind of a mentor to Manny Diaz when Manny took over the defense at Mississippi State. That's kind of gone unnoticed that these two guys were on the same staff, and that Dan Mullen really gave Manny Diaz his first big opportunity in college football. So, quarterback situation, Miami's going to go with a very young quarterback now. It's been a rough camp kind of for both of them. Florida's still got some issues and continuity problems on the offensive line. They've lost 4 or 5 players to transfers and all that. I was really high on Florida when the year started, as you know, Gary. And now with Kelly Bryant at Missouri and more stability over in the SEC East right now, I think Florida's going to have a good year. I just don't think it's going to end in a championship or getting to Atlanta.
Let's get to Bama, and I'm not going to say the hay is in the barn because it's not. There's still 12 days away, but fall camp ends this week on Wednesday with classes. And I think from a standpoint of this depth chart, even if they haven't released one yet, the coaches are at a point now where they kind of know who is, who they're going with. And it's time to kind of start getting ready to play a football game now.
It is, and I think the thing you come out of camp right now with is that there are more numbers on defense. This team, in my opinion, is I think it's the most talented roster Saban's had 1 through 85. You look at it, you look at the some of the generational talented guys that are on this team, and then you look at the depth, the numbers, the athleticism, and Gary, you've seen them up close and personal. I think this is the most physically imposing Alabama team I've seen in the Saban era, which makes it obviously one of the best of all time in terms of passing the eye test, which you look at and go, hey, yeah, you're good here, here, and here. There are more numbers on the offensive line. There are more talented people on this roster than we've seen in a while. And now, last year's weaknesses, all the guys that had to play last year out of necessity, that bodes well going into this year. On the defensive side of the ball, you've got difference makers at every major position group, and now we've got young guys that are coming in that are going to be counted on and have had to step up. And to this point, some of those guys have done that, and it's going to be interesting to see, Gary. But this is a very talented team that appears to be focused and ready to roll.
Yeah, they do, and that's what it's going to take. Even as talented as Alabama is, as you know, you got to go out and you got to be focused on the season and have your mind right. And I think that's the challenge for this coaching staff is to get these guys dialed in and focused. This first game, and we'll talk more about it next week, but I you know me, I'm conservative by nature when it comes to football because I respect the fact that anytime you tee it up, if you don't have your best, negative things can happen. What do you expect from Duke? I mean, it's just kind of been one of these things, Scott, where we just haven't even spent any time worrying about them. And we're talking about Duke like they're, directional, Division II school. This is a program that's done some nice things under David Cutcliffe. Obviously, the quarterback situation is different. If Daniel Jones stays, that gives them a lot more, notoriety, but this is still a team in the Atlantic Coast Conference, the conference of the national champion, Clemson Tigers, that destroyed Alabama last year. Do you think they're not getting enough respect, and not necessarily from the players and coaches, but from the fan base at Alabama? Do you think that they might be a little bit better than they're being given credit for, or not?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the one comparison. Last year in 2018, they had Daniel Jones, who was not a bad football player at all, as we all know. The guy goes in the first round, and I think it's going to be a really dynamic quarterback at the next level. But you look at, they had a common opponent last year. Alabama had to play Clemson, and so did the Duke Blue Devils. And honestly, when you look at what they were able to do against Clemson last year, they actually played Clemson really, really close. And that game kind of got away from them, like all games last year. But Clemson beat them 35-8 last year, and it was one or two plays. But that on defense, they really gave Trevor Lawrence some problems in that ball game. And going back and reading about that game and seeing what happened in the game and all that, obviously we didn't pay much attention to it last year. But the point is that Clemson scored a lot of points on Alabama, and that game wasn't decided till real late last year. They confused Trevor Lawrence. They made him do some things and made him uncomfortable in the pocket, and Clemson kind of went through the motions in that ball game. But the bottom line is Duke gave them a really good game last year from a physicality standpoint, all that stuff. So here's the thing. They're going to play hard. They're big and strong on the offensive line. They don't have the prolific offense that they had last year, but they've got a good roster, Gary. They really do. And David Cutcliffe will have them very well prepared. I think they're going to throw a lot of quick passes and screens to try to offset the Alabama pass rush. But the point being is Clemson is one of the more talented teams in America, and Duke's had to play them every year in the ACC and some other good teams as well. Duke's not going to be intimidated by this game. David Cutcliffe is looking at it as an opportunity, going, hey, listen, man, we're playing another great program, a team that's won national titles like crazy in the last decade. This is a great opportunity for Duke. It's a great opportunity for our program to get on a national stage in a big environment and play the best program in the country. So I think that's what you're going to see out of Duke, a team that's going to fight you for 60 minutes, that's going to make some plays in the passing game, and I think can cause you a few problems on the defensive side of the ball.
Scott Moore with us from iTalkSEC Radio and the Jay Barker Show. When all is said and done, and there's a lot of talk about the tickets, now I understand they're trending back up a little bit in price. Do you think Bama fans will fill that Mercedes-Benz Stadium the way they always have?
Absolutely, and I base it on friends of mine and people you and I know. Listen, I'm getting calls every day about, hey, I want to go to the game. I'm like, well, go, and it just it's an Alabama opener. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, where that stadium and that city has been really, really good to Alabama through the years. I think it'll be packed, and I think it'll be a overwhelming home-like atmosphere at Alabama. It's in a dome. It's a great trip for Alabama fans. Man, when Alabama plays, Gary, it's like the Beatles. You know that as well as I do. There are two teams that play in college football, Notre Dame and Alabama. When they go play and where they go play, it is an event. And, it'll be packed. There's excitement for the ball game. I know people I know are very excited at the start of the season. So I don't think you're going to see many empty seats over in Atlanta. I think it'll be a huge Alabama crowd. And because you think about this, Gary, every time Alabama plays over there, you're playing in a very difficult either SEC environment or you've had to play Georgia twice in a row, and it's been tough to get in a game over there considering the magnitude of the games Alabama's played in Atlanta. This is going to be a fan friendly opportunity for Tide fans to get out and support Alabama versus Duke. So I look for it to be a great crowd, pro-Alabama, and people are going to be excited because it's the start of the season.
Scott Moore with us here on the Gary Harris Show, talking Alabama football and college football in general. Will Reichert, because I know you get a lot of the same info that I do, is from what we hear, really putting on a show in these scrimmages. And the chances that he wins the starting place kicking job in terms of kicking off and extra points and field goals, and the chances maybe that he wins the punting job, one or both. Where do you think and how much do you think we'll see of Will Reichert this year?
Well, he's a very, very talented kid, and but you can be talented and you can have a strong leg, but if you're not accurate, it doesn't matter. And he's very accurate. That's the thing that we've always watched from him coming up in Hoover. He's got a very strong leg, and he's versatile. He can punt, which I think when you watch him punt, you go, man, that guy. He's a talented punter, first of all, and a very strong leg there, and he's a good directional punter as well. He's fundamentally sound punting the football, and then he's very deadly accurate kicking it, place kicking. So you get a strong leg, you get the accuracy, but you get the versatility too. When you got one guy that can do all those things, he's going to be hard to keep off the field, Gary. He really is. I don't think he's the moment's going to bother him. He played in a big-time program at Hoover. They were in a lot of big games, played on national TV, and this has been a dream of his whole life is to go wear that crimson jersey and play and contribute right out of the gate. So if he continues to do the things that he's done so far, then I think he's going to earn that spot. Like you just said, nothing's given until the season starts, but it's looking good for Will Reichert, and I think he's going to be a big asset to this team this year.
All right, it is 9:45. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with one more segment with Scott Moore from iTalkSEC Radio and the Jay Barker Show. If you want to get involved, I didn't throw the phone number out there, but in this second segment, we can take a phone call if you got a question or comment for Scott. 205-342-9904 is the number to the Bud Light hotline. We'll be back with more in our conversation with Scott Moore right after this on the Gary Harris Show. Let's get to a phone call. Mark is on the Bud Light hotline as well, wanting to ask a question. Good morning, Mark. You're on with Scott Moore.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
A couple of things regarding the scrimmage on Saturday. Like I say, we were directly there or whatever, but it's the team looked very, very tired. They're worn out. But the two didn't look well. It didn't look good at all. And I can't stop beef at the backs are that much better, or he's not picking up off the new offense, well at all. I don't know what y'all heard, but he did not look good.
All right, Mark. Thanks for your call.
That's not giving away secrets, but it is what it is.
All right, Mark. Thank you. Yeah, I had heard similar comments from people that were there that Tua didn't have his best scrimmage. I'm not going to read too much into it because of his track record, and we know how good he is. Having said that, and again, I wasn't even going to bring it up because so many people get angry if you say anything that's not positive in regards to Tua, but. I had heard that, Scott, and to Mark's point, I do think the secondary is a lot better. I think they're going to be. I keep getting these calls about people concerned about the defense. I think this back end might be as good as any secondary in the country, so that could have something to do with it too.
Well, there you go, right there. We just answered the question right there. When I hear that, a quarterback that finished second in the Heisman Trophy last year threw 43 touchdowns and all that, and it's probably going to have one of the most prolific seasons in college football history this year. I go, well, you know why the defense? We've been talking about this all summer. The defense in these kind of scrimmages, when you're tired and you're in the middle of camp and everybody is wanting to just get kind of done and try to get out with injuries, because let's be honest, that's what these second scrimmages are. Defenses usually dominate. They usually do, especially if they're good ones. Gary, I've already said that this defense, from a talent standpoint, light years of where the one was last year. All these guys in the secondary have a ton of experience now. I mean, young Surtain started 9 games last year. Trayvon Diggs is projected as a first-round pick. Shy Carter, Jared Maiden, Xavier McKinney, you can go on and on and on. And one thing else that happened Saturday, and it's happened in practice all summer, the receivers, and Alabama's got the best collection of receivers in school history, they've had a hard time getting separation. Why is that? Because they play against the best competition in America and practice every day. So was Tua tired Saturday? Probably. Did he look great Saturday? Probably not. But you know what? That's a test to the team and the talent that you go. I mean, Alabama goes 1 versus 1s. So listen, you may not have been at practice all day, and some people may have gone down and saw a scrimmage, but that doesn't give you an accurate deal about what's going on with this team, because the coaches let everybody see Saturday what they wanted them to see, and sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle too. These scrimmages aren't made to be easy. You don't go out on Saturday and you're not going to throw 80-yard touchdown passes every time you go out in one of these scrimmages. These scrimmages are controlled. They work on certain things, and they are freaking difficult to get through, especially when you're out there at 2:30 in the afternoon with a heat index of 110. So I'm not worried about what happened on Saturday. I'm going to be concerned about how they play against Duke and this schedule this year, and I think they're going to do pretty good, Gary, and I think this is going to be one of the best teams in America. They got to go out and prove it. But 2 hours on Saturday and a second scrimmage 10 days before the season starts, I'm not worried about what a lot of amateur guys that go view practice have to say. And that's the way I look at that.
All right, let's take another call from Shutdown Man here before we have to wrap up this segment on the Bud Light Hotline. Hey, Shutdown Man.
Hey, guys. I've been seeing that DJ Dale has been being held out with his injury or limited. I want to know who's taking his place. I noticed Darren Mathis last year would come in and, for Quinnen Williams periodically, and I thought he was pretty impressive. Who's manning that nose tackle position, and who's going to start game 1?
All right, Shutdown Man, thanks for the phone call. Darren Mathis has been working there, and he was battling with DJ Dale. I think if DJ Dale comes back to practice as is anticipated, Scott, and gets the reps in that he needs pregame, that I think he's going to be the starter there, and Mathis will back him up. Is that what you believe?
Yeah, I think so. They've got other guys that can play there as well. And the good thing is that Justin Obio, I think it's how do you spell his last name? Is it Obio? Is how you say it? Obiogi or number 9? We'll just call him number 90 right now and call him Sir. But
92. You talking about Justin Ebosby?
Yeah, Ebosby. Yeah, Justin's played very, very well. Here's the thing about him: he can play on the outside and he can play inside as well. I don't think they have to worry about it because Dale's going to come back. Also, you can move Raekwon Davis around in there as well because you got so many numbers. But Darren Mathis will be the guy. He's had a really good spring and really good fall. So, and I know they're counting on some other guys too. They're still trying to get some of these younger guys in shape and to play at the level that you need to play. But again, I think Alabama's got 4 or 5 guys that they're counting on this year, and they expect to get better. And again, some of these younger guys need to get in a little bit better shape, but they already know that, Gary. This is a learning experience, but Alabama's got better numbers in the front 7 than they really had since 2016. They got talent there. There's ability there. Everybody is young. They're trying to learn how to, contribute and get on the field and play. You got to know that defense. So I like this defense, though, Gary. Very, very talented. Again, there's young linebackers that are stepping up as well. I think this is going to be the best defense in the Southeastern Conference from a run game standpoint. I don't think you can be able to run the ball on them much. And I think the secondary is going to be simply outstanding. So I'm really looking for Alabama to take that next step, Gary, and get back to playing Alabama defensive ball like they've done under Nick Saban since he's been there.
All right, it is 9:55. We're going to try to sneak in one more call very quickly. Let's go to Donald on the Bud Light Hotline. Hey, Donald, we got 2 minutes. What's up, man? Donald.
Yeah, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got just like 2 minutes. Go ahead,
sir.
Buddy.
Appreciate the 2-minute warning. Listen, FYI for you guys, on the weekend, on Saturday evening, we had 3 members of the Alabama softball team competing for Team USA in the U19.
Yeah, I've already talked about it, Donald.
Well, did you? I just wanted to pass along to you that on the roster for next year, that there will be 5 members of the Alabama team that have won gold medals in that competition over the last 3 years.
That's big time. That's impressive.
Because you add Alyssa Brown and Kaylee Tow to that list because they won it in 2017.
That's impressive.
And I wanted to just pass that along to y'all. And I kind of figured you went over because you're good at it, but just wanted to pass that along to you guys. And just guys, just keep up the great work. I realize I'm pushed for time, but you guys have a great day, okay?
Thank you, Donald. Good to hear from you. Yeah, and
Okay,
Scott, we got about a minute, but there's no denying that Patrick Murphy has built a softball program here that is, it's up to the Alabama standard. I mean, it's a national championship contender almost every year.
Too, yeah, Jared. Yeah, they're going to have a great team in 2020. A really, really great team. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
All right, brother. Well, we got to wrap it up, but you can let the listeners in on all the different places they can catch you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Jay and I'll we'll continue this conversation on y'all's great station there today on Tide 100.9 from 12 to 2, and then we'll be doing iTalkSEC. And Gary, next week I'll have a little bit about FSU. I'll be at Florida State tomorrow and seeing practice and talking with at the Florida State Tallahassee Quarterback Club. So looking forward to getting down there and seeing how the Noles look too.